Hello, Profit Hackers. I'm Jeremy Lott, the Chief Visionary for Foundation Accounting and Consulting. I owned a construction company for about 15 years before making a change to accounting because my accountants sucked. My goals are to simplify accounting for construction company owners, fuel your profits, level up your cash flow, and help you grow in a financially responsible way. So let's go. Hello, Profit Hackers, and welcome back to the Contractors Profit Hacks Show, where our main focus is to help you put more money in your pocket, right? We've been talking quite a bit over the course of these podcasts about different strategies that you can use to help you be able to fuel your profit, build your cash flow, and scale without going broke. And that's the part that we're focused on in these last couple of episodes and for the next few episodes is that scale without going broke thing, right? So first, as always, I'm going to tell you a story. I started wrestling when I was like 6 years old, right? And I absolutely loved it. And I took to it really well. And I also was kind of a mouthy kid and told people exactly how I saw things and was very blunt and didn't really hold back and caused a lot of problems and got kind of picked on quite a bit by different people because of it, right? And for years, I just put up with getting picked on and teased and all that kind of stuff, right? And it was frustrating, definitely frustrating. And I came home crying a lot to my mom about the different things that people had said and done to me during school. Well, things started tensing up with some people. I had a friend, well, I should probably put that in quotes, friend named Shane Brooks. And Shane one day got mad at me, and it was a Friday, and Shane told me that he was going to have his friend, Trent Van Dam, beat me up on Monday. Well, I was kind of freaked out. I'd never been in a fight. Anyway, I hadn't been in a fight before. And here was the school bully that was going to beat me up on Monday. The school bully, Trent Van Dam, he was like 6 feet in 6th grade, right? And he like had the starts of a beard. He was a very intimidating person that sprouted pretty early and was a big guy. I went home and told my parents, and my parents, of course, contacted my teacher there at the elementary school and had a conversation with him and told him that if Trent approached their son, me, then they were going to, or that their son was going to then fight back. And then after that, my mom and dad sat me down and told me, my mom in particular, said, look, you've been doing this wrestling for a few years now, and you're pretty good at it. And if you get in a fight, you better use your wrestling to your advantage, or else when you get home, you're going to be in more trouble than you were in the fight. So she told me to take advantage of my advantages and to make sure that make sure that I didn't just go toe to toe with him because anybody can land a lucky punch. But anyway, setting that aside, on Monday, when I went to school, I showed up there and I was super tense and I was ready for it to go down. And I found out later that Shane had never said anything to Trent, and that Trent had no idea about any of that. But it so happened that we were playing buns up and throwing the ball against the wall, right? And the ball, well, Trent Van Dam was over playing basketball. Well, their ball got loose and rolled over towards us. And this same kid, Shane, wound up and kicked the ball as hard as he could, the basketball, making them have to stop their game and go chase the ball down on the furthest corners of the playground. Well, he was not very happy about that. And minutes later, our ball from playing the buns up, the wall ball, went rolling over towards the basketball court. And Trent Van Dam took advantage of that moment to pick up the ball. And I started yelling at him, "No, Trent, don't throw it. That's mine. It's not Shane's." And he wound up and chucked it as far as he could. And I called him some choice words. Okay, I called him a dick. All right. And that, of course, pissed him off. And he came walking up to me and started shoving me over and over and over, right? And I was nervous. I didn't want to do anything. And so I was just backing up and backing up and backing up. And while all this was happening, my sister had run in to the school and told my teacher what was going on. Seconds later, my teacher came walking out and called Trent's name. And Trent turned and looked at the teacher. And I remember I jumped and I punched as hard as I could. And I hit him right square in the nose and mouth. Tears started flowing instantly for Trent, as they do when you get hit in that part of your face. And the teacher ran in and broke it up and kept anything else from happening. And so then the rumors started going around that I had beaten up the school bully, which led to some other issues down the road. But that's another story. But the point here is that you need to take advantages of your strengths, right? So we've spent a lot of time here and we've talked a lot about different ways to be able to measure and to price things and how to track our numbers, those kind of things, in order to help us be able to put more money in our pockets. Well, we need to use these strengths to our advantage so that we can continue to grow and scale and make even more money rather than going broke, right? So growing is a thing that has to be approached very strategically. What most people tend to do is they tend to grow their hill. They buy new software. They hire the office person. They hire the person that can do bids for them. They hire the salesman. all of these different things that they're doing that grow that hill, which means it's going to take even longer to get over the hill, meaning that you have to sell even more, right? So it's almost a gamble where you're hoping that all of these changes are going to create enough revenue to be able to cover those amounts that are in the hill, right? But most people aren't looking at it that way. They're just saying, oh, we're just growing. What we want to do is we want to go back to our cost analysis that we did earlier on in one of our earlier episodes, one of our first episodes, actually. And we want to use that break even to our advantage, right? So in doing that whole process with the cost analysis, we have our gross profit margin, which we've figured out, right? And then we also have the hill, the size of our hill. And then based on that, we have our break even and how much we need to sell in order to just break even for the year, not make any profit, but just break even, right? So what we want to do is go back to that equation. And if we are going to be adding an office person, or if we are going to be adding a marketing person or a salesperson or a person that can do estimating for us, right? If we're going to be doing any of those things that are hill related activities, what we want to do before we decide to grow and hire those people is we want to figure out how that will affect our break even. So what are we going to do? We're going to take the costs, the expenses for those additions, how much that admin person is going to cost us for a year, or how much that estimator is going to cost us for a year. Whatever that is, we want to take that, or how much the software will cost us for a year. We want to take that amount and add it to our hill. So it makes our hill bigger, right? Then we take our hill and we divide it by our gross profit margin, our rate, right? And that now tells us what our new break even is in order to be able to hire that person and to cover their wages, right? You can take that number, the break even, and divide it by 12. You can divide it by 52 so that you have a weekly number. Whatever the case may be, that tells you what your monthly or weekly sales goals need to be. And once you are hitting those repeatedly, those numbers, then you know that you can hire that person and be able to cover their wages for a full year if you continue selling at the same rate, right? So that's how we determine whether to hire somebody for the office or admin staff, right? If we are going to hire a new person for the field, a new tech or a new laborer or whatever, then we have to figure out all of the costs associated with that. What are we going to pay that person? Do we need a new vehicle and new equipment in order to have that person on the team and have them be successful, right? We need to add up all of those amounts. And then you know how we determine if we can hire that person or not? We add those amounts to our costs when we are doing our estimating, right? So go through and do an estimate and use the numbers you currently have. And then go through and do the same estimate and add that truck, add that person, add that equipment, all of those things onto the estimate and see if your final price is something that makes sense to sell to the customer. When we can do that, we can hire a new person. Okay? The other determining factor on hiring a new person is our volume, our revenue, right? The total revenue. If we are selling at this level, but we're only performing the work at this level, then what we need to do is we need to look at hiring a new person and how that will affect things, right? If we are selling at this level and performing down here, that means our cash flow is going to be delayed, right? Because we have to finish the work and then get paid. If we can increase our output to close to the same level as our revenue, then that means the money is going to come in faster and we can continue to do a higher volume of work, right? And so we need to calculate that and figure that into the equation when we're deciding whether to hire somebody that goes on the truck rather than in the hill. So there's some examples for you of what needs to be done in order to be able to decide when is the right time to hire the office person, to buy the software, to hire the field tech, to get a new piece of equipment, any of those things. That's how we determine when the right time is to hire those people. And if you have more questions on this, you can add them in the comments down below and we'll reply. Or you can reach out to me directly and I can help you figure out when it's time to make your next move. So thank you very much for listening, and I will talk to you in our next episode. Thanks for listening. If you found this episode helpful, please like and subscribe for weekly episodes to help you fuel your profit, level up your cash flow, and finance your growth. Until next time, go enjoy some green M&Ms and protect that cash.